Tatyova, Benthic Druid versus Damia, Sage of Stone. We have, yeah, I think we can keep that because we can go for a turn 3 cultivate and then we'll be able to make a land drop every turn after we get Tatyova out with Crucible of Worlds. So we'll just go for our Polluted Delta and then we can take that into a tapped breeding pool and get our colours fixed early on. Let's have a look here. Breeding pool hiding away up there, and we'll take that in tap. No need to take the damage on that. And then I think another 3-drop isn't great, but as long as our opponent doesn't get off to too fast a start, we don't need to worry. We can pretend that we're holding up counter magic. And Worldly Tutor. Hopefully that just goes for a Sakura Tribe Elder. Tatyova, Benthic Druid is 5 mana in Simic for a 3/3. Whenever a land enters under our control, we gain a life and draw a card. And Damia, Sage of Stone, is in Sultai. I think that colour combination is Sultai. 7 mana, 4/4, Gorgon Wizard with Death Touch and Skip Your Draw Step. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. Okay, going for Simic Growth Chamber, so we're both getting off to a slow start, which is fine with me, but it does mean that Damia is probably holding on to lots of answers for us. Now then, do we want to go for... We could either go Courser of Kruphix now into Mind Sculptor next turn. I think I'd rather just ramp into a Tatyova for next turn, to be honest. And then at least if they counter that, we still have cards in hand that we can do things with. So we'll go for 2 basics. We'll put a forest in tapped, hold on to the island, and we'll be sure to play the island. Yeah, that's a point actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I like to get down Tatyova into a land drop preferably. Well, Soul Ring will help us, so why don't we just go... Yeah, I couldn't think of a better drop than that at this current moment in time. We'll go for our Tatyova off the Soul Ring, and then assuming it hits, we can get straight into a land drop. And that will, of course, draw us a card. Perhaps should have gone for the Misty Rainforest there, because we could crack in response to whatever our opponent's doing here. But we have the mana to replay Tatyova next turn, so it's no big shakes for us. And is this a charm? No, it's Putrefy. That's okay. Not too worried about that. Now that we have Soul Ring, we at least got the trigger off with Tatyova, so she kind of cantripped herself there. Will of course cost 7 to cast next turn. That's 2, 4, 6. Yeah, we have enough to do that straight away. And our opponent going for Oracle of Muldiah into no lands on top. But they do get an extra land drop out of their hand. We get into another land in the forest. We're going to go for the Misty now. And that will be a tropical island. And that will of course draw us a couple of cards from each land that enters. And I doubt we're going to get into anything for 1 mana. Oh well, Brainstorm is... Yeah, Brainstorm's good. We can just... Well, how many cards will we have? 4. Yeah, we'll do it now to save us discarding anything. Oh, actually, we go up a card with Brainstorm, don't we? So it wouldn't have kept us discarding. We will go for just a couple of lands on top, I think. And then... is there anything in there? I think the Courser of Kruphix we can discard. Although, no, we could play a land off the top with Courser of Kruphix next turn, couldn't we? Now, we're going to draw into a land anyway, and we have means of other card draw, so I think we just ditch the Courser of Kruphix here. Yeah, should have done that on my opponent's turn, then we could have kept hold of everything. I just had it in my head for some reason that we wouldn't go up a card with Brainstorm, which of course we do. Draw 3, throw 2 cards back up. Farseek means our opponent will shuffle away their Mana Vault, but they do get into a Green Sun Zenith. They now have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they have enough for Damia. And the question is, do they throw out Damia without counter magic backup? And I didn't know River of Tears had been reprinted in that set. I might have to pick one of those up. I'm not sure if I have a River of Tears. Okay, they go for Painful Truths. Throw 3 colours into it, I assume, in order to draw 3 cards. And it looks like they are over-ramping so that they will be able to protect their Damia from counter magic. I think in that case we want to go for... Well, we'll certainly make a land drop, and that'll take us into another land. Why don't we go into the Ley Line of Anticipation, and then we can hold up Mystic Snake and try to counter Damia. It will most likely... Yeah, it will most likely get countered, even if they go for Damia next turn, but we can try and hope that they don't have a counter in hand. They have 5 cards in hand, so they wouldn't actually draw that much off Damia, but if they just decide to spill out their hand onto the board and then expect to refill their hand with their commander, then we want to try and keep that from happening. Now I have a Fact or Fiction on top. Okay, Green Sun Zenith for 5 makes me think that that is Courser of Kruphix. I don't really want to deal with a Courser of Kruphix, so we'll see if our opponent has counter magic here. They do have a blue floating, but that comes down pretty quickly, so I have to assume that they don't have counter magic in that case. And we managed to keep the Zenith from shuffling back into our opponent's library as well. So they're not going to redraw into that anytime soon. Still 5 cards in hand for our opponent, and they are getting rid of a Talaria West, which will send them into their deck for something that costs 0. That's either another land or a Mana Crypt or something like that. They go for the Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. They don't have Cabal Coffers, and they don't have any Pain lands either, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, well anyway, doesn't matter. Not yet, anyway. We are going to go for... Seeing as how they just searched for the Wasteland, not for the Wasteland, for the Urborg, I think I might blow it up, because they obviously can make use of it somehow. And then it's Rampaging Baloths. Yeah, Rampaging Baloths into Wasteland, I think. We'll swing in first. And offer up the trade to our opponent, Mystic Snake for Oracle of Muldaya. We know that they've got Jingataxius coming down, which we can bounce with Jace, so we might be worth saving that for next turn. We'll go for the Rampaging Baloths now because we can't play a land on our opponent's turn. So we'll go for it now. We could of course cast it at instant speed if we wanted to. And then we'll get into Wasteland. That will not only draw us a card, but it will throw out a 4/4 beast, which we always want to yes and yield to. And then we'll blow up the Urborg. I'm only going for that because our opponent tutored for it, and I'm they might have just been trying to make use of their 3 mana, but I'm not sure if they have Cabal Coffers in hand or something like that. And then we can go for, I think we can cast anything at instant speed with this. You may cast spells as though they had flash, so we can go for our Crucible of Worlds at the end of our opponent's turn. I assume they're going to go for a Jinga Taxius here, which is 10 mana, I think. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If they make a land drop, which there's every chance they won't. And they can do it at instant speed anyway, so you would assume that they would hold that in their hand and do it during our turn. Okay, they've decided to go for Damia. They only have a colourless and a green held up. We'll let that enter. We have no choice in the matter. They're not going to draw many cards off of that, but they're perhaps just trying to get into a land. I might, just to keep them off Jinga Taxius, I might go after the Simic Growth Chamber. I don't want to wasteland them every turn. Okay, well, Llanowar Elves will certainly help them, so I think that is our plan of action here. So if we go into Crucible of Worlds, we certainly want to keep them off that Jinga Taxius. We could bounce it with Jace, but we can only do that for a few turns. And we would like to get into something that allows us to make multiple land drops a turn. But I think for now we have to wasteland. Like I say, I don't want to blow up all our opponent's lands. Azusa is really good for us. So we'll get into Azusa, definitely. And then we can go Misty Rainforest. And we can do this a couple of times now. We'll be drawing plenty of cards here. We'll go for a basic island this time. And then we'll do it again and we'll go for a basic forest. Explore gets us another land drop. And we're getting beasts every time we do this, of course. And all of this is occurring without us spending a single bit of mana. Go for a couple of forests now, I think. Explore draws us a card. Oh, Reliquary Tower is actually really good. So we'll go Explore. That will draw us a card and allow us to play an additional land. Go for Reliquary Tower. We can save the Avenger of Zendikar for if our opponent decides to wipe the board. And everything else, I think, we can do on our opponent's turn. We'll definitely wasteland the Growth Chamber because we want to keep them off as much mana as we can. And then why don't we go for the Mind Sculptor and bounce Damia as well. Not only is it a Death Toucher that will sit in the way of our Rampaging Baloths, but it will also draw them into more cards next turn. So now we're pretty happy to swing in with everything we've got here. And then if they go for a board wipe, we can go for Heroic Intervention. And that will, of course, give all our creatures hexproof and indestructible. And if they do manage to blow us up with something like a Toxic Deluge, we can regroup with the Avenger of Zendikar. And we'll probably go for Azusa back with Eternal Witness. And then we can make multiple land drops and make Avenger of Zendikar a big threat. So we're looking pretty good at the minute. Okay, extra turn for our opponent. We'll have to let that go. If we don't do anything that I just mentioned, then we can always Tragic Lesson. And that will draw us 2 cards, and we can then either choose to discard a card or return a land. We'll probably just discard a land card to that, because we do have a means of playing lands with the Crucible of Worlds. We can get lands out of the graveyard and abuse that. Our opponent really wants to find a board wipe here. I actually didn't realise we'd gotten their life total so low. Yeah, so looks like they have to do something this turn. Fact or fiction might get them something. It doesn't. Yeah, that's a whole heap of nothing for them there. We'll give them 2 means of ramp. Well, explores a means of ramp, I suppose, but I'd probably go for this pile. Nope, they go for the Yavimaya Elder and the Cultivate. So it looks like we've managed to get something done here. Yeah, just in case. I don't want to drag out the game any longer than we need to, but I'm going to go for Tragic Lesson just in case our opponent gets into something. Glacial Chasm isn't doing anything for us, so I will discard that. And then we will just go wide on our opponent here by swinging in with everything. We'll hold the Azusa back. And Rampaging Baloth's doing it for us, along with Azusa and Crucible of Worlds, it seems. Didn't get much use out of the Ley Line of Anticipation, but we did manage to sneak out the Crucible of Worlds on our opponent's turn, so that helped us to maximise the use of our mana. Good game to our opponent. I think they were just unlucky not getting into board wipes there. They did draw an extra few cards, but if you don't have it on top of your library, you might as well not have it at all. So unfortunate for our opponent, but we managed to get out a pretty good win there. So hope you enjoyed that. Haven't played Tatyova in a while. She is one of my favourite commanders. And I will see all of you in the next one. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.